Right, hello, and welcome to another episode of Tamara Unfiltered. I hope you're all well. I, as per usual, smoked some weed, not fucking eaten, but, you know, I don't even know what. God, I want to start this again. I haven't got fucking time for this today. Right, I'm so sorry. Do you know what? I did a little poll on Instagram the other day because this is going to be a couple of weeks now. This podcast will come out a couple of weeks after all of this stuff has probably died down, but I still am going to speak on it, and that is this Adolescence, I was just about to call it documentary. It's not a documentary, it's a new drama that is, it's on Netflix, and the whole world is just blown up. It is everybody, it's everywhere, everybody's talking about it, I don't know, everybody's in a bit of a flap, and I asked my Insta fam, did you want me to speak on this? Because honestly, my opinions are probably not going to be similar to any of the opinions that are currently out there, and I didn't know whether or not anybody wanted to hear it. Turns out you all did, so this is that. I had so many thoughts on this, but I am going to start with my first thought before I get into the darker side of things. For me personally, this was one of the best things I have ever watched, and not probably for the reasons you are going to think, but for me it was is it called cinematography? You see the way it was filmed? The whole thing was basically filmed in a one take, right? So there was 4 episodes, they were an hour long, and each episode from start to finish was just filmed in one go. Now, the planning that must have gone into that, and the way it actually watched, is that the right way to put it? The way you watched it, the way it was just, I don't know, it had me in. I spent most of the time going, this is so fucking clever. I've never seen anything that's been filmed like that, and I feel like it's a bit of a shame actually that all the stuff that has kind of blown up around it has kind of taken spotlight off of that, the fact that it was so well produced. Anyway, so I'm just going to start with that. I think the production was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't watched it, God, and I probably should have started with, if you haven't watched it and maybe you live under a rock and you are not aware of what I'm speaking about, this was a drama that was put on Netflix, and it is about a young boy he's not accused, let me start with that, but he has murdered a young girl, and I guess it's the story of that. And I don't know, there has been so much that has come out and come up from that. I think I do want to speak on it. So I've actually got some show notes today, ever the professional. They're kind of like a bit of a collab with ChatGPT, because it was quite interesting. Like, my thoughts on AI, like, I really don't think AI is the bad thing that everybody thinks it is. And I feel like, I don't know, AI has a lot of answers. So we've kind of done this podcast together, and I just thought I'd put that out there and let you know. Anyway, I think the first thing for me with this podcast was the biggest question: what the fuck are they distracting us from? All right. Now, I know everybody's first reaction was to be like, oh my God, this is so terrible. Rah, men are awful. My literal initial reaction was, what the fuck is this distracting us from? What is this about? Because if it's not a distraction, it's definitely some sort of like psyop. Like, this is, when anything is this big and this talked about, there is an agenda behind it. I don't care what anybody says. In this very, very big world we live in, it is very hard to get everybody to talk about and think about the same thing, right? So I don't believe for a second that this hasn't been engineered for a reason. What the fucking reason is, I am not entirely sure, but we're going to delve into that a little bit today. Now, I think the first thing is, and my first problem was, everybody kind of got very upset by the fact that the boy, the protagonist, I think that's how you say it, the main character who was the murderer, he was a young white boy. Now, in light of a few recent events, the biggest one being the murder of that young girl Eliane in Croydon, a lot of people are saying the character was cast wrong and that he should have been a young black boy. Now, I have so many issues with this. Probably, again, not for the reasons you think, but I think for one, they got the character completely wrong. Like, I don't even think this is about black or white. I think it is about the type of person that would be doing this. And he shouldn't have been a good-looking young white boy with a bunch of friends, because I'm sorry to say, but that is not the type of guy that is going around doing this type of behaviour. Now, this whole show, again, if you don't know and you've been living under a rock, the whole show was to highlight this what I find to be quite a new word as well. Like, this is like a new thing that's not been about for too long, but this word incel, which basically means you're involuntarily celibate. Now, I mean, if anybody's an incel, I'm probably going to just say that's me first, all right? I am very involuntary celibate, and that's not because, like, I don't know, I want to kill men. That is simply because, you know, I lack a lot of time, and the quality of man that I want is not maybe the easiest thing to come by, right? But I'm not sat here behaving like that. And I would say most people are not behaving like that. I think this is a very, very, very niche thing, a very small fraction of of our society. But what Netflix has done has tried to really highlight the whole thing. Now, when this came out, the first thing I actually did was I did a little bit of research on it, because I was so interested, again, by like the way it was filmed, the production. Like I actually wanted to know who produced it and what else they'd produced, because I wanted to watch other things that were shot like that. It was really good. And I stumbled across this article. Now, this article was really interesting because you have to understand, like I was saying before, like when something blows up like this, I do believe there is like another agenda to it. And I stumbled across this article and there was a quote, right? And I'm just going to read you this quote, and I'm just going to remind you that I am not Dr. Tamara. I am here on a mission to help everybody kind of understand the power of their mind. And fundamentally, I believe that your thoughts and your actions shape your reality, right? But fundamentally, your thoughts and what you're speaking, it's all going into shaping your reality, right? So now, bearing that in mind, I found this article and there was a really interesting quote, and I just want to read you this. And this is from the guy, the director, that Graham guy. He said, "We could have made a drama about gangs and knife crime, or about a kid whose mother is an alcoholic or whose father is a violent abuser. Instead, we wanted you to look at this family and think, my God, this could be happening to us. And what is happening here is an ordinary family's worst nightmare." I mean, I beg to fucking differ. I would not say this is any ordinary family's worst nightmare. I don't like the words normal and ordinary, like, because who even knows what that fucking is? But I'm going to say, like, the majority of people, this is not happening in their fucking house. I'm not saying things are the greatest, but you haven't got these kids that are sitting there plotting to murder all these girls. I'm sorry, but I just don't fucking think you do. But what I do think they are doing with this, and it says everything in this fucking quote. Listen, they want you to think, my God, this could be happening to us. Do you know what's going to happen when you start thinking things are going to happen to you? They might just fucking happen, all right? And I don't say that lightly. You don't know I sit here and bang on about the law of attraction and manifestation, and it's really important that, you know, it's not just about what you're doing, it's what you're surrounding yourself with. That's why I refuse to watch like horror, true crime, anything like that, because it doesn't sit well in my soul. It puts me on a lower frequency, and when I'm down here, I cannot attract to the good things which are all up here, right? And I do believe a lot of this, I keep wanting to call it a documentary, this drama, a lot of this drama is about further plunging society into the depths of darkness. Because how much of a mind fuck was that? We all watched that, especially those of us who watched that as parents. We all watched that going, oh my fucking God. All of us, even me, who has got very close tabs on my family. We're very close. We're very, I don't know, there's not much I don't know. Even it's made me start questioning, like, oh my God, you know, what are they watching? What is going on in their minds? And, you know, and then that's when I started to think, God, this is what they want. They would love us to all think that, you know, our children are fucked and society's broken and everything is so fucking terrible. And I don't know. I do think we have a lot of problems, but I don't think this incel thing, which they're really trying to highlight, is the fucking problem. I think the problems run so much deeper. And I had a little chat with ChatGPT about this, because I'm just, I don't know. There are so many factors, right? And so many things to take into consideration that I think now to highlight this very small niche group of people is, I don't know, I don't think it's a positive thing at all. And I think it's also glossing over the real issues. And let's talk about incels. Why have we got young men that think and feel like this. Like, what's going on at home? What's going on in your life? Where is your community? And then you have to just look past all of this and look at, you know, the great lengths at which the system goes to separate you from your children. Like, we are so, I don't know, they don't want us raising our kids. That's one of the reasons I've homeschooled my children, because I did not have my children to send them to somebody else to raise. They don't want us raising our children. And I don't know, I think it's silly for us to now sit here and go on about something that's such a small problem, when actually we should be thinking, you know, about the wider issue, the amount of mental health issues children have now and all the problems they're facing. And why are they facing them? I don't know. And I was kind of talking with Chat about this, and I said to him, I don't know why I call him a him, it, whatever. I feel like we're raising a very weak generation. I can kind of see it in, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but I think, I don't know, I don't think gentle parenting has helped anybody. I don't think we should be battering our children either, let me say that, but I do think there needs to be a happy medium where we're telling these kids what's right, what's wrong, you know, what you can and what you can't do, and not be living in such fear of I don't know, being reprimanded by our fucking children, these tiny people that we created. Like, to me, the whole thing's fucking wild. And I think a lot of the problem is that we've got a lot of young boys now whose mummy didn't want to tell darling Tarquin no. Sorry, me and my friends have this thing where we call these types of mums, like, Tarquin's mum, like, you know, Tarquin, don't do that, darling. Oh, darling, don't. You know, them kind of parents where you just need to grab your kid by the neck and say, the fuck is you doing? Yeah? Those kind of parents. I feel like we have a lot of this generation that's coming up and the generation before them, like, they've been raised by parents that don't want to tell their kids no. They want their children to, and I don't think all of it's been done with ill intention. Like, you know, there's been a lot of trauma, and so there's a lot of healing that's trying to take place, and I think people are trying to do that with their children. But I don't think when you raise your children with no boundaries, no rules, no no's, you're going to have, like, well-rounded children that can actually function in society. And I'll say this, you see a child, a boy especially, that you don't tell no and he has never heard no, he will fucking struggle with no when he gets older. Like, he will not be able to be told no. It will not even be in his vocabulary, because you, as the parent, has not ever given him a fucking no. I tell my children no all the time, regularly. I you know, not get out of my way to upset them, but I'm not here trying to, I don't know, I have put my children in a lot of cotton wool, but also from a realistic point of view, like, there is a big wide world you've got to send them into. You can't be sending little arseholes out into the world. Like, you just can't. This world's fucked up enough as it is. And again, this is just highlighting a bigger issue. What is going on at the homes? Well, probably not fucking very much, because I am one of the only people I know who has kind of built my life in a way where I can raise my family. And that is nothing against everybody else. Like, I look at everybody struggling and it just breaks my fucking heart, because I'm not saying it's been easy what I've done, but you can live life on your terms if you want to. And I think it's just really sad, the amount of people I see. Like, for instance, my neighbour, she is so lovely, and she broke up with her partner a little while ago. She's been left, like, she's got, I'm going to say 3.5 kids, because one's older. And she's at work every day, right? Obviously, and she doesn't work at home. Again, this is a luxury, I do understand this, but she doesn't work at home, and 2 of her kids have to come home, and they're kind of like on their own for a couple of days of the week. And yesterday I've come home, and one of the kids, he's just outside. Like, the other kid hadn't come home to let him in. It was the whole hoo-ha. He's got nowhere to go, and I'm like, oh, come in. I gave him dinner and stuff, and I just thought, I said to her, let me do that. Like, just the 2 days a week that you're not going to be home, just let him come here and I will feed him and whatever, and just, I don't know, be a little home for him for a little while, because it's just fucking hard. Like, we are just living, everything is so broken in society. Like, and I know what I do to hold this together is not going to be, I'm not saying not everybody's not capable, but it's a lot of fucking effort, and every day I'm just like, you know, it's a fucking lot. But people are struggling. The family unit's fucked, like, absolutely fucked. I mean, I'm quite lucky. One of my baby fathers especially, like, he's quite good. We get on, we co-parent quite well, but still, he's not in the house. Like, it is all left to me. And so I am, and this is the other thing as well, women, we just have so much put on us now. I literally have to be the breadwinner and the bread baker. I have to do everything in this house, and it is, I don't know, it's a strain. It's probably why I smoke weed for breakfast, lunch and dinner, because it's not fucking easy. And this is me living my soft little life. So if this is my soft little life and I feel the struggle, I can't even imagine what people go through every day. Things are so fucking broken. And so I don't think we should sit here and bang on about two fucking fucked up members of society when actually we've got millions of people who are in a less fucked up state. But I just feel like things are going to get worse, and things will actually go that way. Well, this might even become our fucking norm if we do not start to do something about this situation. And honestly, I don't even know if I have all the answers. I did ask chat for some flipping answers, but there is just, I don't know. There were so many factors to this, but I felt like honing in on, you know, the fact that they said, oh, you know, we could have made a documentary about gangs and knife crime. Well, maybe you fucking should have, because actually that's the issue right now. That's the real issue. That's not a black issue. That's not a white issue. That's just a fucking issue, right? And then let's look at the reasons why. Why do we have so many children on the fucking streets that are angry, that are upset, that are clearly fucking, I don't know, hurting? And again, it's trying to find that balance. Because I do feel like a lot of people, sometimes you've got to get hold of these kids and just be like, sort it the fuck out. Isn't it funny how you can get a group of our kids who live in England, which is supposed to be a first world country, and they have got everything, access to everything in the grand scheme of things, right? And they're fucking miserable. And then you'll go to like the deepest depths of like fucking, I don't know, Malaysia or somewhere, and you'll get a group of kids that have got fuck all. They've got nothing, and they're so fucking happy. Like, what is it in this Western world that is so fucking broken that everybody is so fucking fucked, like mentally? Again, I think a lot of it is media. They're not stupid. Like, you know, back in COVID, right? I could see what they were doing, and it was driving me fucking insane, because I've studied NLP a bit. If you don't know what NLP is, it's neuro-linguistic programming. It's basically a way to speak to people in a hypnotic fashion, if you will, to get them to bend to your will and way of thinking. Now, when this COVID thing was happening, they were using these NLP techniques to fuck with your mind. You see that thing where people say things like 3 things? Did you notice there was always, I can't even remember what it said, but it was like something, something, something. It's always something, something, something. When you speak in the something, 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 it's almost like in a hypnotic fashion. Full transparency. That's why I say hello, hello, hello when I start this. Because, and do you know what's funny? When I started studying NLP, I started to realise I naturally speak in a lot of these ways without even meaning to. This is my natural pattern and way of speaking. And I think that is why I'm actually very good at doing all this. But the thing is, that knowledge and that way to speak in the wrong hands can do a lot of damage. And that is exactly what they were doing with COVID. And again, back to this fucking quote, they want people to think, my God, this could be happening to my family. No, I would argue that is the very last thing you want to think. Again, back to, I'm not, you know, we can't keep everything positive all the time. Things like this fucking are terrible, but you've got to look at them and then go, okay, I don't like this, so what do I want? Focusing on what you don't want is just literally giving energy to something you don't want, which is fucking stupid. You've got to put your energy into what you do want. Acknowledge the bad things, you know, but then put the things in place that are going to make them better. I mean, God, my baby father, again, funny because we co-parent, but he's not in the house. After he must have watched Adolescence, and then he phoned me, he's like, you've got to start taking the kids' phones. I said, I never wanted the kids to have phones. This, you know, I'm not saying it's all his doing, but I never wanted that in the first place. And what, now you've suddenly watched a fucking, not a documentary, you've really changed your tune. And again, I think this is the problem with society. We're so easily fucking led into what we should and shouldn't be thinking about. Why is this now a fucking big problem? Why is this now being highlighted? Why are we not talking about the actual fucking problems? Distraction. It's distraction. And if it's not distraction, it's to fuck with our mindset. These people know full well when the collective thinks of something, it's very they have proven, like, a group meditation affects the fucking Schumann resonance. You can literally affect the frequency that the planet is emitting with a group meditation. So can now you understand we're essentially doing a group negative meditation by us all thinking about this, worrying about this, speaking on this. Even me, I shouldn't even, that's half the reason I didn't want to speak on this. I kind of want to add to this fucking shit, honestly. But I do understand a lot of people don't think like me. And I do wish, I don't know, I do wish people would start to think a little bit more. Anyway, I had so many issues with this. And I think back to my first point about where everyone was up in arms about the kid not being black. I actually think that was part of it. I actually think they did that on purpose. They knew full well everybody was going to say, because the most recent thing in our minds is that Eliane being murdered. So obviously we're all going to draw to that. And then it just gives a little... It's like race baiting, isn't it? Because now everybody's arguing about it. And what I've really noticed lately is racial tensions are really picking up. Like really picking up, especially in this country. They are doing their best to make us hate the Muslim people that have been... You know, I don't know how most of the people got here, but I'm not going to say most, like all the people got here, but I'm going to say most of them have come here because something to do with us. Somehow, some way, we've gone and blown up their shit, taken their shit, colonised their shit, and now they've had to come over here. I don't personally see a fucking problem with it, right? But my issue is you can really see how they're trying to bait us all into this kind of race war. And there's been talk a long time. Again, it's back to 10 years ago when I was trying to warn everybody about this. We were saying there's going to be a civil war. And if you look at what's happening now, they are bringing in men by the busload. Young men of fighting age, no women, no children. They're giving them phones, they're giving them benefits, they're giving them this, they're giving them housing, they're giving them that. Why? What is going to be happening where we're going to need an army that is not on anybody's fucking side? I don't know. But there are so many other fucking issues we could be talking about. And I just think they are being highlighted in the wrong way. And again, what is this distraction about? You see, this is how they divide us. Have you ever heard of that thing, divide and conquer? That is how they keep us in our place. Currently in England, there's a hell of a lot of changes and stuff that's been going on. Like, we are in a cost of living crisis, if you flipping will, right? There's a lot of... there's a lot of negative things flying around right now. I have lost my train of thought. I am not going to lie to you. Every time this fucking happens, I'm like Tamara, because I feel my stomach going, and I'm like, you should have eaten, because maybe that's where you store your thoughts. But I think I was talking about the race issue with this and the fact that they are trying to goad us all into hating each other. Oh, that was it. Divide and conquer. This thing where we've got all this shit going on in the UK at the moment. They're changing a bunch of things. They're fucking our life sideways. This thing where, like, we should all be mad at a certain group of people, but we're not. We're mad at, like, things we shouldn't be fucking mad at, right? But we're told to be mad at it. They're like, oh, why is everyone talking about Eid? Oh, why can't we write Happy Easter on the Easter eggs? Why are they cancelling Easter? Why are they doing all this? Why are they doing all that? They're doing all of this to wind you the fuck up, yeah? Because while we're all busy mad at this person about this and that person about that because they're this colour, this race, that fucking religion, whatever, none of us are stopping to turn around and actually look at the fucking people at the problem. And I say this all the time. The people at the problem don't have a colour. They're not black. They're not white. They're Zionist fucktards, yeah? Let's call a spade. But they don't have a colour, okay? And our fight is with them, all of us, whatever other fucking colour you are, whatever religion you are. If you are part of the 99%, they are your fucking problem. They are the only people you should hate, the only people you should want to fucking be mad at. But again, these fucking people are so clever. And instead, they've got us all arguing with each other about things that don't even fucking matter in the grand scheme of things, right? And it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit infuriating to watch it play out. Do you know what it's like? I'm not going to lie. I kind of dip in and out of, like, how I feel about life. Like, look, most of the time life's great, but sometimes, I'm not going to lie, like, I live quite a lonely existence. I know some of you will get this, but this thing where you see what's going on, but has anybody ever seen They Live? It's about this guy, right? He finds this box of sunglasses and he puts the sunglasses on and suddenly he can see everything for what it is. He sees all the adverts that are just trying to brainwash him and the people that are really reptile aliens. I think I have felt like that for such a long time, big part of my life. I just find it hard because, like, I look at things with different glasses on. So, like, the whole world's up in arms about this, screaming about fucking incels. I'm like, incels aren't the problem. That's not the fucking problem. I mean, that in itself is just That would be cured if we took these fucking weirdos and cleaned their nails and bloody gave them a haircut. Let's be real. I mean, we need fucking answers to this situation. And don't hate me for saying that, all right? Let's be fucking honest. They have done they did a documentary on, I don't know, it's BBC or something, with these incels. I see two of them. They just look disgusting. Now, I'm not saying everyday self-care, but I am saying all of us, basic hygiene, trim your nails, yeah? Get in the fucking bath, brush your hair. These aren't hard things, but you could never be this disgusting and then wondering why women don't want to sleep with you. You're not involuntarily celibate. You made yourself fucking unfuckable. Do you understand? And again, this is this thing where we're raising this soft society. Why are you raising your kids to be like this? I tell my kids, get in the shower. Don't be disgusting. You're not going to fucking smell. Brush your hair. And do you know what I've always told my kids? And I don't care if people think this is wrong because it's fucking true. Yeah? It's true. People judge you on your looks, all right? And if you look good, people will like you more. It is as simple as that. You will be better received in the world. Now, I don't think that's necessarily right, but it's a fucking fact, okay? And I have always made an effort to try and look good. I do believe if you look good, you feel good. And I do believe it doesn't take too much fucking effort. And again, it's a lot with the mental health. You can't be letting yourself go. There's certain things you need to keep up. Get in the shower every day. Brush your fucking teeth. Like, just the basic things, right? But then you look at these so-called, these incels. They look like they haven't brushed their teeth since they were born. Where's your mum? Why is she not telling you to brush your fucking teeth? There are so many other factors at play here. It's not like these boys have just suddenly woken up. And this is another problem I had. I know you probably will think I was going to come here and start man bashing, but I think one of the things that upset me the most is everyone's just now, fucking men. No, men ain't the problem. I mean, don't get me wrong. Men are a bit of a problem. But this is a societal issue. This is a collective issue. This isn't about men. Men are being raised by fucking women. So then whose problem is it actually? Like, men and women. Like, I don't know. There are so many factors. Honestly, I boggled my own brain thinking about this, but I just don't think focusing on the incel thing is the biggest issue. And I also think that is something that could be solved with better education. Again, like at school, the shit that they brainwash these kids with, and they have so much power. I mean, I know they won't because that's not the purpose school serves, but they could very easily have a little health and fucking hygiene class. They could very easily, I don't know, provide resources so these children can grab a little bottle of deodorant if they need to or whatever. I don't know. I just think it's such a small part of society, and what it's done is just fling a blanket on all men. And everybody's trying to come for Andrew Tate. Now, everybody knows I can't stand Andrew Tate. I actually think he's another distraction. He's part of the agenda, and I truly believe that. But at the same time, a lot of his messages I don't think are bad. People really do need to just pull their socks up and get the fuck on with it. Life is hard sometimes. Life does hurt sometimes. What are you going to fucking do about it? You're either going to sit there and cry and have a miserable continued existence, or you're just going to pull your socks up and say, you know what, that was bad. That was bad. But I'm going to carry on. I don't know. Like I said, my head is honestly all over the place with all of this, but I just wanted to speak about it because I think people are really looking at the wrong things, and I don't think we should all start man-hating. Now, this comes as someone who is a certified bit of a man-hater. Anyway, do you know, there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about, because I think one thing about the thing itself that was really, I don't know, bothersome to me, to be honest, was the way sorry, if you can see my hands shaking, by the way, and you're like, is Tamara okay? I drank this drink full of magnesium, and I haven't eaten. It's got magnesium, lion's mane, ashwagandha, and I just literally feel really shaky. It's weird, so I'm absolutely fine, but I'm clearly on a little trip. What the fudge was I saying? Oh, I think one of the issues with it, and it was personally, it was an issue for me because I was a bit annoyed at myself. But you're watching this thing. They show you, right, in the first episode, they show you very clearly he killed the girl. You see him on the CCTV stabbing her. What you don't see is a bunch of blood. And what alarmed me was the fact I spent the whole of the next episodes thinking, I don't think he did it. Did he do it? Did he? No, he didn't do it. Did he do it? No, he did it. No, he didn't do it. But I didn't see the blood. Did he do it? Someone else must have done it. And I don't know if that's the way, they've obviously done it for you to think like that. But it was just that thing where you've clearly been shown someone's done something and you're still defending them. This was me. I'm there defending him in my head like, no, it can't have been him. Even at the very end, when he's basically fucking admitted it, I'm still like, did he really? And I think that's the fucking problem. And this again speaks to a bigger societal issue. The way we, I don't know, don't believe women and the way we protect these men. Like, it's just, and I say that on the other side of saying it's not all men, but you know, this young Philly thing, which I'm sure most of you are aware, young Philly is a, I don't even know what he is, to be honest with you, one of those YouTuber types. And he got brought up on a rape charge. Something happened in Australia a little while ago. I don't know what happened. And a lot of people were like, no, he didn't do it. And then if you go through the comments, because you know I love comments, there was a lot of people saying, oh, well, this happened to my friend, that happened to my friend, blah, blah, blah. If something happens to one person or one person says something, I think it's quite okay to maybe have a little bit of shadow of doubt. Yeah. I don't think it's okay when multiple people are saying the same thing and we're going, oh, not sure about that. Man's a fucking rapist at the end of the day. Call a spade a spade. Why are we going to skirt around the issue? Why are we going to support the man? And this pissed me off because I saw some guy the other day saying, oh, he's my friend. And your friend, that's got nothing to do with it. I'd like to think if I did something really fucked up, my friends aren't going to stand by me just because I'm their friend. And that's, again, something that this thing highlighted, the way everybody's kind of, the family stood by the kid. You think one of my kids could go and kill a girl like that? And let me not speak, because God, do I never want to be put in that fucking situation. Let me touch all the wood. But I do not see myself being in support of that. I see myself being very devastated that I could have spawned something so fucking evil. But I don't see myself supporting that. And it is just wild to me, the amount of people we have in society willing to support people who are clearly doing fucked up things. You know, I've got I'm not going to call him a friend, wrong use of the word, and I'm actually going to be careful how I say this because he's the type of guy who would try and fuck up my life, but he never could because he's powerless. Anyway, I had a friend, he used to be a very good friend, and we fell out quite a few years ago because he can be quite a nasty piece of work. However, there had been a rumour that had gone round that he had raped somebody, and I don't know, my first instinct was, yeah, he probably fucking did. But there was a couple of my friends who was like, no, he'd never do that, still supporting him. One of them even wrote him a fucking character witness. But someone else then came out and said he'd done the same thing, and I said, I'm sorry, 2 people aren't saying that. 2 people are not fucking saying that. Believe the women. Don't believe this fucking man that just because he's your friend and he's never raped you and you don't think he's capable of that. Don't do that. Don't be like that. That really made me think that bloody drama watching that Adolescence thing, because I was just like, wow, you've really sat there for 4 hours thinking this poor little boy's done nothing when he's clearly a psychotic murderer. It was wild. And it's just clever the way they did that. But then, was it clever, or is that just how we fucking act? It's just, I don't know, it's wild to me. Anyway, this guy in particular, this old friend of mine, I will not entertain him. I will not speak to him. I will not defend him. I will nothing. If anybody asks me about him, I say, that fucking rapist, don't talk to him. And I think, I don't know, if maybe more people stood up like that. I literally saw someone, young Philly, I think it was that Bouncer Dirty guy. I don't know if he's a boxer or whatever, but I saw him talking about it, saying, oh, he's my friend. He wouldn't do, well, because he hasn't raped you, really? You just, it's wild. And what's even wilder is people like that are in the public eye. And then you're going to be defending people and making them feel like it's right and making other people feel like it's right. It's fucked up. And you know what, this is why this whole influencer thing is so dangerous. I see it sometimes with you guys. I love you guys so much, and I know in the grand scheme of things I'm not a fucked up person, but I've done some pretty fucked up shit, and I've told it on this podcast, and I've had you guys literally message me going, oh, well done, Tamara, round of applause, loving the toxicity. Why are we supporting people just because we like them? You know, it's so fucked up. And again, that Adolescence thing just really highlighted that this kid was such a likable character, but he's a fucking murderer, and yet we're all still there trying to defend him. I don't know. Very, very, very wild. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I will say I've not I knew there was an issue with this when I saw them talking about it in Parliament, and they were speaking about showing it in schools. That's how you know it's not about what it's about. It is about spreading more evil and pushing society further into darkness, right? So I just knew from that. But I think, I don't know what the answer is, and I think this is why I was a bit reluctant to do this podcast, because I'm an answers person. Like, I don't like to bang on about a problem and then not come here and say, oh, how we can fix this. And I do think fixing this is like, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me, and I don't have all the answers. But I do know people are struggling with connections. We're struggling with community. We're struggling with the bonding. And I think, I don't know, didn't help that they took the youth clubs away. We've got a lot of kids on the streets. I mean, that's why, honestly, it drives me insane, because I've probably most of the time got about 8 or 9 children in my house. But I remember when Rocco was growing up, I did not want him on the streets. I did not want him doing up thug life. And I made a point of letting him know that he can be in the house with his friends. And they would be here pretty much every day. And I'd let them smoke a bit of weed. But I would know that they were all upstairs and they were safe. And that made me feel a lot better. And I think Rocco tried to have a little thug episode. He stole something from Sainsbury's. This is a funny story. And again, a lesson in we don't gentle parent. But he stole something from Sainsbury's. And I didn't kill him, obviously. But I took him straight to the worst fucking barbers. I live in, I'm not going to say where I live, but where I live, there are a few terrible barbers. If you know my son, you know he's mixed race. If you're black, you go to the right barber. Anyway, I took him to the worst barber, and I said, bald him off. And he had all this hair, and he just balded him off. He looked like a right fucking idiot. I was like, well, that's what you're going to look like if you go to prison, innit? So, and he, touchwood, has behaved and fixed up ever since, because I was not having any of that fucking behaviour. My point is, I do think us as parents play a big role in this. And again, I know it's hard because we're all distracted and we're busy and we're this and we're that. But I do think there are some things we can do and we should do and we should try to do to make sure these kids are just not left to the streets to be raised. I mean, for instance, a lot of parenting is going to be really uncomfortable and hard. Like, I will never forget the day I had to actually sit down with Rocco and say to him, porn is not real. Women do not want to be beaten up in the middle of sex, and anal is not really very fun. And they were really hard things to have to say to my son, but I just knew if I didn't say to him these things, if I don't give him an education, YouTube's going to educate him, YouPorn's going to educate him, everybody else is going to educate him, and it's probably going to be all fucked up, right? And so, like I said, like, I think we as parents have a responsibility. And like when I was letting them all be in my house, it wasn't, I'm not going to say I hated it, but equally, like, you know, is what it is. And I don't know. And I feel like now, looking at Rocco, he's 20, he's not the best, but he's not the worst. And he's not on the streets, and he's got his little girlfriend, and he's got his little job, and he's doing all right. And I'm not saying it's all because of that, but I am saying there are plenty of his friends that he has grown up with that are in very different situations to him now. And one of the biggest differences is having a parent at home. This is why I was so adamant I wanted to work from home. I was like, I want to be here. You know, like back to my poor neighbour, she doesn't get to see her children. And when she does, it's little intervals and she's stressed. And so it's like, how are you even coping with that? How are you even trying to like do things in a good way when you're just trying to just barely do them? I don't know. Like, I know it's a lot, but I do think a lot of the responsibility falls on us. There probably are things we could all be doing better. Even myself. Like, honestly, if you some of you will know I got my Kale, he's now 6, be nearly 7 soon, but I got him a phone when he was 4, and it was probably, I don't know, low point in my parenting, let me be honest with you. But, you know, he's a good kid, and I just try and look at things in a more balanced way. Like, they're gonna have these things, they're gonna be exposed. I think what's important is they know they can come to you. Like, and I think no matter what you do, there is always going to be a level of exposure, but it's just about them having that safety at home. Like yesterday, something was going on with my little night, And I was like, what's wrong? And I knew something was wrong, but he didn't want to tell me. And I just said, look, I said, what do you do if you've got a problem? He's like, I don't know, come and tell you. I said, exactly. That's all I've ever wanted from my children, is to know that they can come to me with a problem. Like, even if it's something that you think I might want to kill you, I'll kill you later on. We'll deal with the problem first, right? And all of them know that. And now, I mean, oh God, if you know anything about mine and Rocco's relationship, you'll know we're far too close sometimes. He really is comfortable with telling me everything. But I just think, them having that safe space makes a difference. This is why a lot of kids join gangs, because they don't have family. They want to feel loved. They want to feel part of a community. They want to feel part of something. And like, gang life's not nice, but when you've got a group of people that have got your back, you feel protected. You feel a part of something. Like, and again, this is what I mean about it. There is a bigger issue. There are so many other factors at play that we can't just look at this tiny group of incels and say they're the fucking problem, when we've got to look at what is the root cause of that problem, Anyway, I've waffled on a lot, and like I said, I don't have many answers, but I would just say, this is funny as well, because I think a lot of people, like, we're all breaking our necks to give our kids things that most of it doesn't even make a difference. Like, I could go and ask all of my children now what they got for their last Christmas. They wouldn't remember. All right, it doesn't matter. What they will remember is the time I've spent with them. And I know that sounds a little bit wishy-washy and earth mother, but honestly, your time is the best thing you can give your children. All right, and I don't know, with regards to how we make this better. Like, for me, for instance, I know what I have to deal with is such a fucking lot. So I try and manifest that I can cope with it. It's one of my things I write. I'm going to cope and be the best mom I can be. I'm going to cook good food every day. I'm going to be the best homeschooler and blah, blah, blah. I really just try and focus on that. And again, it's not the easiest thing to do, especially when there's so much outside noise. But for the most part, I've got 5 happy, healthy children, and we live a good little life. And when stuff like this happens, it just upsets me. Even Neo comes to me, my 11-year-old, like, oh, Mum, there's this Adolescence thing. I said, God, you haven't watched it, have you? He's like, oh, no. I said, don't. I said, that is not for you. I don't even want... That's the thing as well. You don't even know... I don't even know how to put this, but, like, most of these young boys wouldn't even be aware that killing a fucking girl is an option until they have been shown something like this. Do you understand? I don't think it needs to be mainstream. We certainly don't need to put it in the schools. And when you look at things like I look at things, you see what's really going on. They are using this as an opportunity to further fuck the minds of our young children, boys especially. And I don't know. It's not okay. Anyway, I'm just going to say, hug your boys and your girls. Let them know that you are there for them. And I don't know. I can't say don't leave your children to the streets, because the streets can be quite fun sometimes, but I don't know, if you can keep them at home, if you've got the capacity. Like I say, I live in this big house now. I have a lot of, I don't know, I have a lot of privilege. I do know that, but I will say, in the grand scheme of things, I don't have a lot of privilege, and this is not something that's unachievable. All right, and I do think if we want to make problems like this better, we as a society have to look at, home. To look at home. And this is another thing, like, you could sit here and argue and say the system's set up to make us fail, and it fucking certainly is, but I am proof that you can step outside of the system and kind of live life more on your own terms. I really am proof of that. Like I say this all the time, I always say I'm rich, and I don't mean to piss people off, but you should know I don't mean financially rich. I mean I'm rich because I've got 2 hours till 3 o'clock. I'm going to go and be able to get a nice dinner, cook some food, and then the children are going to come home, and I've got time to sit down and talk to them, and time, right? That to me is rich. Like, true value comes from you having time, right? So I don't know, we can start to work on that. And like I said, not everything's going to happen overnight, but we can certainly start to work on some of these things. I don't think everything is all as doomful as it seems, and I do think that as well. Again, back to my initial point, a lot of this is just about further pushing our minds into the gutter, and you've got to work really hard to not. But don't be so defeatist. Don't just think because the system's built to fuck you that you can't fuck it straight back. Like, I bend that shit over every day, okay? You're capable. Anyway, I am gonna wrap this up. Oh, look. That was, okay, right. I probably should do a part 2 to this, and I probably should have organised it a little bit better, but my show notes helped today, and we've got ChatGPT to help for this. He also agrees that, this is a societal issue. And you know what I think, like, why I do all right? I think it's because of the independence thing. I think so many of us are so happy to hand over responsibility because it's been made easy for us, that then that is actually the problem. But you can take your power back. You can start to be a bit more responsible and a bit more independent. And yeah, it's scary. Like, for instance, like, this whole Not Dr. Tamara thing started because I don't, I'm not into doctors and I don't really go to the doctors. And I don't believe in a lot of what they fucking spout. But then equally, I'm aware that if I'm going to live an unhealthy lifestyle and put myself in a position where I need to go to the fucking doctors, I'm going to be fucked. So I'm independent. I take responsibility for myself. I make sure, we eat as well as we can, and we supplement, and we get some good fresh air, and we get exercise, and I make sure we do those things. And I don't know. I think there are, again, so many factors, so many different answers and things we could be doing. Just maybe need to get on with some of them and stop feeling so helpless, like we don't have a say in all of this, all right? And learning to be a bit more independent and not having to lean so much on society and taking responsibility a bit for more for yourself. I don't know. I think that's certainly some of the answer. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm getting to that point where I don't even know what I'm talking about now. I'm probably not making much sense. But I just want to say thank you for listening. If you've got any thoughts on this, I mean, I know my thoughts are different to a lot of people, but I also know I've managed to gather a group of really cool, like-minded people. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? How do we start to fix society? How do we start to make things better? I think that's what we need to focus on. Anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, we're not living in fear, all right? Life's good. Sun's out. Everything is awesome. I will see you all next week. Not sure with what, but it will be something fantastic. Thank you for listening.